those that are doing that, creating that child, to know that. But on the other hand, there is the element of profits and making money off. I don't care what humans do. Somebody gonna figure out a way to put it right, left, whatever way. Just like you were saying before, we're gonna figure out a way to put folks at each other's throat on the issue.
Oh,
but
sure.
The thing of it is, do not assume that all people on the right or left is for abortion or against abortion.
I would not
really
assume
believe
that at all. I would not assume that at all.
I really believe it's up. I really believe it's up to them individuals. And then when those individuals begin to get to the point where they are taking their wife at 10 and 12 and 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and it's a healthy child, then there is an outcry. There is of injustice up to human life, because that's not what God wants done. Anybody with common sense already know that, and how they do them in the abortion clinic, and how it's been said that they've been selling body parts and all other kind of stuff. That's the lowness of human degradation. But that initial choice for what's being done with their life is between that man and that woman and God. And when they unleash that righteousness or wrongness about how God wanted, that's when the hell starts. But I myself personally, like I said before, believe we as a country is leaving our first sanity and love of humanity for each other. I believe we're leaving it because we think.
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think one of the things that I feel strongly about is that when I hear people say they believe in diversity, but diversity doesn't include diversity of opinion. And so what somebody's saying is, well, I don't care what skin color they are, what gender they are, ethnicity, whatever else, but as long as they think exactly as I do, because I know best, because I have all the answers, because, it's not that there should be the same way there are like 50 different flavors of ice cream, that there should be 50 different ways to look at things politically. The only way that people should look at things politically is how I look at them. And if somebody doesn't, then they're intolerant, then they're bigoted, then they're fascistic, racist, communist.
They're put upon and made to be the enemy. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I see. And one of the things that you've been gracious with your time with me is that clearly we have different beliefs. You're not yelling at me. You're talking to me like a human being. That's very commendable, because there are a lot of people that I would never even try to have this conversation with.
Yeah, because they've shut their mind down. They don't see the overall frailty of humanity and its relationship to what's going on in the world. And the young lady that I was talking about, her name is Stacey Abrams, Stacey Abram. I'm going to play a piece. It runs about 7 minutes if you want to hang around.
Okay.
I enjoy the conversation with you because most of the time I do my points of view and the things that I have without very little cause. I have over 100,000 listeners worldwide. And guess what's surprising to me? I got nearly 7 or 8% listeners, and guess what? Russia.
Really?
But anyway, I'm going to play this. It's called, it's in political realm, and it's what I was saying. Anytime anybody rears their head, that what I call the Christian right. When I say the Christian right, I'm talking about those people that are supposed to be God-fearing Christians. You see what I'm saying? That want to treat people right, respect people. Then there's another type person. He just plain out and out in the devil. He don't give a rip about nothing. He don't care what's going on. I'm going to get mine type mentality. Then there's the other person. He just sit and watch. I ain't going to do nothing. I'm just going to, sit on the sideline. Guess what? You are doing something. You are enabling either the righteous or you are enabling the evil of humanity. Because God gives you the ability to choose right and wrong. We all have that, the ability to choose. But here's the thing about it. We forget to add God and the Creator, God the Father, Jesus, Son, and the Holy Spirit to the equation. You and I may decide to go to New York. But guess what? If we decide to go to New York, I sit on my bed and you sit on your bed, and we never get up and put a foot down on the floor and head toward. Guess what? We never get to New York, will we? We will never get to New York. That's why I say, when the mindset of humanity in this world, we have forgotten how to work together, how to reach across the aisle, how to compromise, how to do what's best for all. The selfishness is just taking over and pitting everybody against each other. We can't talk no more. See, that's what President Donald Trump has bought into, the angry side. And how long before the other side rear up his head and it wins the next tug of war? You see what I'm saying? Boom, 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 back and forth.
I would argue that's already happened. You know, I mean, I don't see anybody from the Democratic Party condemning strongly Antifa. You know, I mean, we just, our life experiences are different, and I guess part of where I come from is somebody who's a proud independent. As I just see, I see there are three political parties: the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, and the Trump Party. And I see the Republican Party and the Democratic Party as, you know, the biggest problem that we have. And I see those parties
two diametrically opposed to each other. Yeah, they just can't get along no more. They can't work nothing out.
But, well, I mean, they can. You know, if it involves getting us involved in a war, you know, a further deteriorating relationship with Russia, selling our country out to virtual slave labor markets in China, and keeping the borders open. If it's stuff that's not good for us, then they can work together. If it's stuff that enriches their donors and Wall Street and Silicon Valley, you know, then they can work together quite a lot. And I would argue that that's the biggest reason for the hatred towards Trump, because there's trillions of dollars at stake between the wars, the open borders, and the trade deals. And those are the three areas he was attacking. You have to understand, I mean, they were counting on a war with Russia in Syria, and there was going to be a lot of money made. They were counting on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have meant that corporations would have been more powerful than any sovereign government. And they were banking on that the borders were going to stay open, which meant an ample flood of cheap labor, which actually hurts the poor and the working poor the most, and a continuation of all the child trafficking that comes up through the border. So I would argue that, you know, the reason why there's such a hatred of Trump, it's not because of how he talks, which that is a fair point. It's not because of any skeleton in his closet. It's because he's upsetting the apple cart, and because there's trillions of dollars at stake in keeping the status quo. And the status quo, these oligarchs were doing extremely well. But if you turn off the spigot with cheap labor and war, you know, then it threatens their profit margins and power. And there's degeneracy if you're going after all these, you know, child and human traffickers. So that's the hatred towards, that explains a lot of the hatred towards Trump. It's not that all these people on CNN or MSNBC or half of Fox News or the others, you know, that they're really fighting for what's good and pure in the world. No, they're fighting for the status quo because of laziness, because of cowardness, because of corruption, and because of evil. And I think a lot of the attacks on him reek of desperation, because maybe, you know, they know their numbers up and that they're going to get called to the carpet for their misdeeds. You know, to me, when I look at the problems of the world, Russia's far down on the list. I'm sorry, I'm going on too long.
No, go ahead.
You know, the hatred is because he's trying to change things. And it's true. He could be a better messenger. But you know what? I thought JFK was a great messenger for a better world to live in. He was very eloquent. He was very articulate. He had a lot of good ideas. He tried to broker a better relationship with Russia. He tried for us to be more respectful towards nationalist movements in third world countries, and make a better world for everybody. And they killed him. So it wouldn't matter if Trump was articulate. He'd be getting the same kind of attacks from the establishment, from every corner. And maybe part of the way you judge a man is by who his enemies are. And if his enemies are all the people that have promoted all these bad policies the last 25 years, maybe that's something in his favor, and maybe we ought to spend at least some time digesting and thinking, well, why is it that all these people hate him so much, all these people that have put us in the situation we are? I mean, if Trump is simply the Antichrist or simply status quo, then why do all the agents of the status quo hate him so much? Because they certainly don't care about human life. They certainly don't care about minorities. They certainly don't care about the poor, because if they did, then the policies they promoted the last 25 years, wouldn't have led to 98% of the wealth going to the top 1% income earners. And so, poor is poor, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're Hispanic. I mean, poor is poor. So if somebody speaks really articulately, but it leads to a lot more people being poor, what good does that do us? If somebody talks like a teamster or like a construction worker or like a landscaper, but their policies, bring about, a better world to live in, then I can live with that. I can live with that. If the guy's an SOB, but he's my SOB, and the policies are good for America and the world, I can accept that. Like, I have no doubt Trump was a ruthless, cutthroat businessman. But you know what? If he's going to keep us out of war with Russia, where everybody would lose, or keep us out of another destabilizing war in the Middle East, which will get a lot of people killed, Bush with Iraq or Afghanistan, or an Obama, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I mean, the alternative is it could have been Hillary. I'm telling you, if Hillary had gotten elected within a year, we would have had a major war in Syria, which, would have been fought by a lot of the great unwashed, in these small towns, a lot of minorities, and people that would have gotten killed or gotten maimed or come back with PTSD. It wouldn't have been anybody that Hillary Clinton knew that would have suffered the consequences. Or if it had been Jeb Bush, you think any of Jeb Bush's relatives would have fought in the war in Syria that he would have been very comfortable sending us to? They live behind gated fences. So when they leave the borders open and we got all this cheap labor coming in the country, they live behind gated fences. They send their kids to elite prep schools. They go to Yale or one of these Ivy League schools. They don't see the consequences. If a factory closes up in a small town in upstate PA and the jobs leave and the meth and the heroin and the drugs come in, I mean, it doesn't matter what your skin color is. Offshoring is offshoring. Jobs leaving the country is jobs leaving the country. A construction company being able to hire illegal labor instead of having to pay an American a better wage. Doesn't matter what your skin color is, or what your political party is. It affects you all the same.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, look, I hope you're sick with me. This is a 3-hour show. We came on at 7 o'clock in the morning, so we go off at 10. But this portion here is in regards to the young lady that I was talking about. Her name is Stacey Abrams. And I asked the question, how long will the false right? When I said the false right, I am saying, when I say false right, you understand what I'm saying. People that are not truly Christian, truly believers in Jesus Christ, God Almighty, the Creator. So I think what is happening now is that we're getting a great deal out of control. I bear in mind, I take into account to your comments and your points of view on the program, but I think that it's kind of like a snowball now, and it's going to continue to pick up steam. And the only way that we're going to be able to survive is that you prepare your people. When I say your people, the people you love, the people you care about, the people that's close to you, your children, your grandchildren, how to live right. And that does not mean that they won't catch hell or that trouble going to come their way. But at least they'll be prepared to survive. Okay, take a look at this, and what I want you to pay attention to is what she says, how she's saying it, and how is it different than any other politician, whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Bernie Sanders type, or whoever they are. But pay attention to the words and see if she is going to be just like all the rest. You see what I'm saying? When a true leader,
yeah, I do.
will emerge. And she's on the Democratic side right now. But how long before she